Joining me, another live stream of the Business Storytelling Podcast. As per usual, we are on YouTube, LinkedIn, Amazon Live, and for some reason, Twitter is hung up again. Maybe they're getting ready to make the switch from Periscope to Twitter Live. I don't know. And when you schedule an event, which I would recommend if you do live streams, schedule them. I've seen fantastic results, quite frankly, when it comes to getting more viewers, getting more attention before the live even goes live. So really do that. So certainly to the Twitter audience, we'll try to fix that. Maybe we can't, but we'll share it later on. Kind of unfortunate because today's guest, of course, is what I would call a Twitter power user. Couple friendly reminders. Call me now if you have any voicemails you want me to include on the next episodes. That goes right into the podcast channel, anchor.fm. Not live. We're not a call-in show quite yet. Maybe another time, but not today. And then finally, my new going live book is now available, authenticstorytelling.net. Please check it out. David Cardozo Suarez on Amazon Live says, hi, thanks for joining us. Appreciate that, of course. And then finally, before we get to the guest, to talk about YouTube. I have a love-hate relationship with YouTube, similarly to Facebook. Twitter, I love mostly. Amazon Live, they're my darling currently, so to speak. But we are live streaming with Switcher Studio. Trap 1 gets you the first month off. And if you're wondering how that works, it's all on my iPad. I got my little production studio here. That's what happens when I look down. And I just love it. Makes everything look great as I can look. So check them out if you want to. Check out the new book. So let's get today's guest on the show. I don't know where I met the guy, but it was somewhere on Twitter. I don't know, a couple years ago, he was sharing knowledgeable insights and stuff that I could really learn from. I finally met him at a conference in VidCon in Anaheim, which, funny, my 12-year-old dragged me to the conference, but I learned a lot too. So here he is, Liron Segev, the techie guy. Welcome to the show.
It's been a while. Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there. I'm going to put up there's your website, new website, looking all cleaned up, right? Just
look at the studio go, right?
The studio shot, absolutely. So awesome. Where did we first meet? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was Twitter, but it's been quite a while. We've been kind of chatting back and forth, retweeting each other's articles. Wherever I find value, of course, I want to share it as much as possible. Very much like you do as well. It's always good to kind of connect with people. And yes, it was VidCon. And I think we even chatted on the DMs before VidCon. You were saying like, my kid wants to go. Should I go? I'm probably just going to take her. And I said to him, look, there's going to be some good value for you as well. And you were like, yeah, it's VidCon. I'll just drink a lot of coffee and hang out and see what happens. And then we just met up there and you go like, wow, okay, it's not what I was expecting. So it was pretty cool.
It was worth going. I mean, I'm glad we went and definitely learned something. It's always interesting to see, the creation scene, I guess, from a kid's eyes. That was always interesting. And the way I played it back to of course, now we don't go to conferences at all anymore. Currently, I just sit in this chair, which it's not a bad chair, but, nonetheless, I don't get up much.
Not the same.
But the way I like, to conference people, I say, you know what they do at VidCon? They do this. Hey, go down this 180-foot slide or whatever, 90-foot slide. And when you come back down here, we'll talk about content. Like, that's really all it is. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, the one thing that I always encourage business people specifically to go to VidCon, and they always give me the same like kind of eye roll, like, it's for my kids, and there's like Nerf and wars, and like there's no real business value. And I said, on the contrary, there is 100% business value, because these are your consumers, these are your customers. If you don't understand content the way that they see content, everything changes. And as soon as that you make that connection, you go, okay, hold on a second. These kids are lining up for hours just to see their favorite creator, to buy their favorite creator's t-shirts and merch. That's what they're there for. If your business isn't thinking along the same lines, I'm not so sure that that's the line, print media, billboards, everything has its place. But the way that the world is changing with consumers and the next generation of people with credit cards, you need to understand that world. It's a great little event to go to.
The next generation with people with credit cards. That's funny because my 13-year-old, you should get your 13-year-old a credit card, even if you don't give it to her. But I heard that helps with the credit score.
Credit score, yeah.
So she's a user on one of mine, even though she doesn't have the card on her. Good thing, but
good thing.
So interestingly, as you know, I'm a big fan of Cope, right? And create once, publish everywhere. How can I maximize all these channels? So we go on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. Well, not Twitter today, but typically 20 podcast channels in a couple weeks, blah, blah, blah. So, but you focused on YouTube, and I see your numbers. I mean, like your followers are a gazillion. I don't know what the number is, but it's way more than what I have. And so tell us about why did you pick YouTube? And yeah, let's go from there. How should businesses think about YouTube?
So I'll give you like the 5-second backstory because I think it just sets up the context. So I've been creating content for a while, since 2008, I think it is. I was like one of the original bloggers where blogging wasn't even a word. Influencer wasn't a word. I could just create content because I knew how to basically write HTML code. And I did that in order to help my clients. I was a technology consultant at the time. And frankly, just between us and everybody else that's listening, I was pretty lazy and I didn't want to repeat the same answer to a million people. So I thought, how easy is it to create basically a simple web page? So here's the question, here is the answer, here's the solution, how you take care of that. And I did that. That's when brands reached out to me back then and they said, hey, hold on a second. You're explaining our products better than we can. And frankly, you don't have the brand Bible and the guidelines that brands have to comply with. You're free to do what you want. Can we take you to events? Can we fly you around the world? Can we show you our latest products so you can talk about them? What a beautiful match. And that's kind of how it started. I transitioned over to YouTube only recently. Even though I've had my channel for quite a while, I've always used YouTube as a repository. I create blog content on thetechieguy.com, and I had videos to kind of help the content along. What I realized is that YouTube's obviously videos where it's at. I don't care what anybody says. The written word is still the written word. You cannot copy and paste out of a video. You still need to have something that people like to be able to skim read. So as much as I was focusing on creating the blog content, I also decided to go more in on video. I chose YouTube as the platform just because the audience was there, the reach was there, the availability was there. Is YouTube simple? Absolutely not. Is YouTube worth the investment? Absolutely. And we can kind of get into the difference between videos on the various platforms. But when I work with a lot of brands, and what I do for a living is I'm a YouTube strategist, and I work with a lot of brands, and I help them understand how to navigate the world of video, specifically on YouTube, why it's important to them, what kind of content they should be creating. No two brands are the same. No two channels are the same. The data on the back end is so vastly different. You've got to approach it very, very differently. But guess what? The audience is there. And the audience wants to consume information. Believe it or not, an amazing ad that is super well produced gets so much watch time and so much engagement and so much sales. Top of the funnel, using YouTube as a top of the funnel ability to drive customers to your website is such an effective tool. Again, it's all with strategy. It's all with purpose in mind. Should brands be on YouTube? Absolutely. If you're not this cool, sexy Red Bull kind of GoPro footage, should you still be on YouTube? Absolutely. People want to know. People want to engage. They want to know behind the scenes. They want to know the brands that they're currently chatting with. They want to know the brands of the products that they're currently buying. And they want to know it in an authentic way. And the keyword is authentic, because people are tired of being marketed to. What people's kind of BS meter is very tuned. We tune things out very, very easily. But an amazing brand that does amazing things and amazing content online just gets through every single time.
It was interesting. I mean, so many interesting points already there. But I don't mind being marketed to, but what I mind is when it's just annoying and in my face and nonstop. I'll give you an example. I had a doctor's appointment last week or whenever it was, and so of course Healthgrade sends me a survey to do for the doctor. So I did the survey, and you know what they did? As soon as I did the survey, I got like 4 more emails about doing more surveys. I'm like, guys, this is not like me getting a hot dog at the stand at the corner. Like I saw one doctor, like even, you know what I'm saying? Like it's irrelevant. It's not.
And also you've given them your time already. Don't abuse it by saying, oh, this is a sucker. He's willing to fill in surveys. Great. Let me send 30 more your way. It just puts you off because guess what? The next time you do a doctor's visit and they send you the survey, the answer will be no. That's it.
Yeah. Or I'll do it somewhere else because guess what? There's many review sites, not just for doctors. I love the comment about you were too lazy. You didn't want to give the same answer all over. And what I take from the way you phrased that is, so, we're all getting up there, both of us. I don't know how old you are. You don't know how old I am, I'm sure. But we all grew up in a world where working harder was preferred over working smarter, quite frankly. But Marcus Sheridan actually says that in Visual Sale. He said salespeople spend 80% of the time answering 20% of the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Just put them on video. Why are you even like? It's like, but people push back on it, right? They rather work harder than smarter.
Yeah.
And so, to me, when you create the videos, instead of just repeating yourself over and over, and it's like hashtag dad life, it makes sense, right?
Well, because remember the world when we used to go to offices, it was all about, you used to get those stupid snide comments from someone goes, oh, it's 6 o'clock, you're leaving already. Oh, there's a half day. Guess what? They don't pay you to be there 24 hours a day. They pay you to be there until the job is done. And if you're smart enough to create systems and be able to automate things, and you should be rewarded for that, as opposed to why are you working half day? The things that at the end of the day, with all of us, most of the questions, like you get most of these questions will be the repeat questions, time in and day out, day in and day out. On the stuff that I do, it's the same questions, day in and day out. Yes, everybody will have a slightly different spin, and they'll think it only applies to them, and that it's all generic. But realistically, if I can give you 80% of the answer already, and maybe the last 20 is where I've got to customize it for you, well, 80% is better than zero. So instead of waiting for me, or instead of booking appointments with me, go to the website, go to the blog, go to the channel, push play, watch it, and 5 minutes later, you're smarter already. Why not?
Yeah, and most people don't push back on that. And honestly, most people, I just Google, like I got some stuff coming today for a live stream tomorrow or whenever I get to it. And like, I'm not planning on calling the company. I'm just going to Google it if I can't figure it out. It's kind of interesting. So when you talk about YouTube is not easy, like, do people still think any of this stuff is easy? I mean, I think it gets easier. Part of it, pieces of it, right? So like the live streams, I mean, you and I, we do so many of these, like we just show up, right? We're like, okay, ready, go. Right. And that part certainly gets easier, but overall, do people and why?
Because of I'm going to use the media in very air quotes, right? Because it would seem that the media writes about the unicorns, the ones that happen every once in a while. Here is a new channel, uploaded 3 videos. This channel, Jack Black, uploaded 0 videos, got 1 million subscribers. David Dobrik, 1 video, millions of views on that video. So therefore, it must be easy, right? These guys can do it. Absolutely not. I'm hanging out a lot in this thing called Clubhouse, which I'm sure you're familiar with those rooms. The amount of bad advice that's given out there is just insane. And what happens is people hang out in those rooms, and it's like a YouTuber room. Like, how do I get better at YouTube? And the advice yesterday, somebody actually said that if you put the word hashtag trending in your tags, you'll get onto the trending page. I was like, no, it does not work like that, you know. So people still think it's super easy? Absolutely. Because they think that creating the content is create the content, upload it, give it a title, give it a thumbnail, and off you go. And then YouTube is just going to recommend you. And then they get super disappointed when an hour later, this is not working. YouTube hates small channels. Like, no, it just doesn't work that way. It's got the answers.
I should have put hashtag trending into the show title. Sorry about that.
You would have been number one already. I mean, we've been going for a little bit. I mean, definitely.
Maybe I can go back and add it somehow. But
you weren't in that same Clubhouse room that you should have been.
So I've totally deprioritized Clubhouse for the time being, right? I'm focusing on Amazon. Amazon has been fantastic. I'm focusing on these other channels, podcast, and of course, I just finished the book, so that took some time. But is Clubhouse, is it worth it? I mean, it doesn't sound like it is if everybody gives this crappy advice, or what do you think?
No, 100% worth it. And the reason that it's worth it is that you really get to network and really get to hear from some of the best in the world. But you still have to have your wits about you. You still have to have a filter. You still need to know that to create, like I wrote this article about kind of Clubhouse red flags. And the big thing is that anybody can create a room. And when you create a room, for those who don't know, when you create a room, you get a little star under your name, which means you're the moderator. That instantly gives you credibility. Then you invite other people to be on stage. And remember, Clubhouse is audio only. So it's like a mix between, like if Twitter and podcast had a baby, Clubhouse, right? You call people up on stage and then they're able to talk as well. And you can only talk if you're on stage. Anybody that you bring up, you can make a moderator. So they get that credibility of a little star next to them that they obviously must know their stuff. So is Clubhouse worth it? Absolutely. You hang out with amazing people in amazing rooms. You get direct access to people like the sharks from the Sharks Tanks. I was hanging out with those amazing people, listening to some ridiculously powerful business advice, and we were able to ask questions and get feedback. Really, really good stuff. But I know that Mr. Wonderful is really Mr. Wonderful. He knows his stuff. Then you go into other rooms where the moderators, they seem like they know what they're talking about. When you look at their bio, they've got this, worked with the biggest channels in the world, worked with this and this and this. And you kind of, you look at their Twitter and you look at their Instagram, and then you can make an informed decisions. Are they who they say they are? Do they have the clout? Do they have the credibility? When somebody's trying to tell you how to grow their YouTube channel, and you go to their YouTube channel, which is all about growing YouTube channels, and they've got less than 1,000 subscribers, how much advice do I want to take from that person? Now, I will say with an asterisk on that, a lot of the smartest people are really good behind the scenes, and they're not really good in front on camera. And that's great. But then they would say that. They say, hey, I'm the behind the scenes person for these people, as opposed to, I have grown multiple million channels, blah, 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 blah. You're like, where do you stand? Where do you take your advice from? So is Clubhouse worth it? Definitely. Can you connect with amazing people? Absolutely. Can you network, DMs, take conversations further? People get hired off Clubhouse, all of that. Absolutely. But you've got to go there with eyes wide open. And as any other social media, just be aware of who you're chatting with.
Yeah, be aware of what people are saying. So of course, that's very interesting. From my perspective, I'm still focusing on other channels right now, even though I was on Jason Fall's show earlier, and he said, Mitch, what's his name? Mitch Joel, right? Or is it the other way? I don't know. And he is broadcasting his recordings to Clubhouse. So I tried that before. It's a little bit of a pain the way I did it. So maybe there's an opportunity there at some point. The other thing I really enjoyed that you mentioned it, so two other things I wrote down earlier, is the importance of still writing. And I actually said this on Jason's show, Digging Deeper, this morning. I said, so here's the thing. Live stream, biggest ROI for me currently, by far, of all the channels, right? The replays or whatever, the YouTube version, not as much. The article or the podcast, I'm sorry, not the YouTube, the podcast channels, some, not nearly as much as the live. Then I write an article, which takes me the longest, has the least out of the gate, but ask me again in 6 months, in 8 months. I mean, there, the SEO doesn't usually take off unless it's something like very timely. So there is value in everything, but I see people who are picking the different strategies over each other, right? Like I said to Jason, I said, Jason, you don't need a podcast strategy. You don't need a live stream strategy. You don't need any strategy that is so specific. You need an overarching strategy and then figure out what the right channel is. I mean, is that true or not?
It really depends on the person and their goals, right? If you want to if you're doing this as purely as a business revenue generator, then absolutely focus on, we mentioned the 80-20 rule, right? Focus on what's bringing you the most traffic for the least amount of effort. Focus on those, double down on that, and then go big on those platforms. You don't have to be everywhere all the time. If your customers aren't on TikTok, then why are you wasting your time on TikTok, right? You got to pick your battles. There isn't a cookie cutter approach to this. There isn't, if this, then do that. If this, then do that. You've got to really select the way that you want to be. I agree with you that the written word, spending a lot of time writing a blog article can take forever, and then you want to optimize it for SEO. Is there long tail value in that? For sure, and there's no question. Excuse me. In fact, I've seen something where I've taken a blog post, embedded my YouTube video in that, and I can see that whenever my YouTube views are down for that particular video, I go back to my YouTube and my Google Analytics on my blog, and I can see the traffic's down to that article. So the two feed each other. And of course, we know YouTube, world's second largest search engine. First largest search engine, Google. Google obviously owns YouTube. That's why when you start typing in searches into Google, you're now seeing text, video, and podcasts are coming up as results. I was very interesting discussion I had with Spotify. I'm one of those kind of verified influencers on Spotify. So we kind of had a bit of a preview of what's coming up. And where they're putting the most effort, especially with podcasts, is in discovery. Because podcasts, as we know, you tend to know of podcasts by word of mouth. Someone says, hey, have you listened to so-and-so? Hey, have you listened to that? Discovery is really terrible on podcasts, but Spotify is putting so much time and money into the artificial intelligence of discovery. So they can work out that, oh, you've listened to this podcast, you listened to 60% of that podcast, you probably like these topics. Let me recommend other podcasts with these topics. So kind of more, and again, I'm kind of doing a lot of assumptions here on the AI, but that's the feel I get from that. And they're going more into depth, not just, oh, you listen to a marketing podcast, here's 5,000 other marketing podcasts. Okay, because that's not really, really helping anyone. The point is that knowing how to write a good article is a skill that's transferable to all the other platforms. LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, even with your captioning. All of those is about search and discovery, and discoverability. And once you understand those skills, yes, maybe you don't want to put so much attention into a blog or a website, but taking those and moving them across other platforms, always gold.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the embedding thing. So I actually I had a few podcast episodes that have taken off, and then I've had some live stream. And my highest performing podcast episode ever with like 46,000 downloads, most of them were actually pushed because the article was trending on SEO, right? So people said, well, how do people find it? Where do they listen? And then what I did is I put actually a link to Corey Walker's book at the bottom. And so she's an Instagram. She wrote the Instagram for Business for Dummies book, with two other people. And she actually said, she goes, we actually saw an uptick in sales because the link is down there. And that article has just had 150,000 views or something. So they all go together. I think people forget that.
Well, then let's go back to your question. Is it worth spending time writing this long-winded article? We've both just proven it from different directions, and we've both proven it that the everybody's looking at these cool, shiny objects being Instagram Reels and TikToks and YouTube and LinkedIn, and forgetting about the base. And the base is going to be down to good old metadata. So without getting into the technical weeds of it, but metadata is still king because that dictates everything. The data is structured as opposed to unstructured. Everything links together. And that is how you really, really kind of get good traction. Don't forget, don't let go of the written because something else is cool and shiny out there.
Yep, I'm with you a little bit here. I've been live streaming to YouTube for a while, as you know, but really it's my smallest return. And I guess it was Neil Schaefer who said, well, they don't prioritize live streams. So I'd be interested to hear your opinion about that. But then also, how do I integrate YouTube better? So, I should tell you this before you answer. So I actually go back to my live stream on YouTube. And so like at the beginning, we have that dead space, right? So I actually trim that out so people can watch it directly. They don't have to wait, because why do they have to wait? Then I usually add a card or something. So on my channel, because it's grandfathered in or whatever, I can link to my website. So I usually do that. Sometimes I link to a playlist or another channel or whatever. So I do mess with it a little bit. But what else? What am I missing? Help me. I want more than a couple viewers on YouTube.
Okay, so what you're missing is pretty much most things. Okay.
At least we're honest.
At least you know that by now. Come on. All right, so essentially what you're doing now is that we're streaming a podcast to YouTube. YouTube does not deprioritize live stream. In fact, there's proof that shows it's the opposite. So it doesn't deprioritize. The difference is that the experience for the viewer expectations is different on YouTube. When we go onto YouTube, we typically want short content. If we're looking to be entertained, we're happy to put up with long content. If we're looking for education stuff, we typically want an answer to a question that we have. Help me unclog my toilet. I don't want a 45-minute review of what I had for breakfast and where my toilet is leaking all over my bathroom. I want the answer now. Those are the things that are bite-sized, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. That is the appetite that we have on YouTube. Besides a lot of the very, very big channels like a Joe Rogan, which everybody always refers to, video podcasts are still kind of a little bit up in the air because they're typically long length. You typically have to watch the video, and we listen to podcasts whilst we do other things. Whereas on YouTube, we're expected to sit there and actually stare at a screen. So the expectation of the viewer becomes different. Now, I'm not sure if you're currently monitoring the live chat that's going on the videos. Are people asking questions? Are you engaging with people who are asking questions? The problem, again, with broadcasting to so many platforms is that there's so many little chat elements in each platform. If you're going to ignore and not give attention to the YouTube viewer, they're not going to come back. Why are you even bothering to stream there? What you could do is a bunch of things. Number one, what you can do is take an hour show and make a 4-minute video, a 5-minute video of the top highlighted points. So somebody comes to your channel and you just get the tip of the day, and they've got a reason to be there. They've also got a reason to subscribe because tomorrow's tips are going to be different than today's tips. So again, another reason to subscribe. On YouTube, we want a visual call to action. We want to say, oh, you like this content talking about all YouTube? In fact, you should go listen to this interview I did with Marcus Sheridan, the sales line. Amazing dude. Go check this out here. He talks about how to use marketing for your business with video. And now there's a call to action. Someone takes the next step and they watch the next video. The signal you're sending to YouTube is, hey, people love this content so much so that they want to watch another one from your library. It's going to start surfacing more of your content to those viewers. YouTube isn't a buy strategy. It's like what you said is like, I pay the least attention to it. Live streams are awesome because you push play, you push go live, we chat, we end the session. People that are listening are getting value. End of story. Great. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're talking about video on demand platform, where it's the deep catalog that people can come back to it later, then you need to work on a strategy, a thumbnail strategy, a titling strategy, descriptions, How do you playlist? All of those little elements come into play to get you to where you want to go. But it cannot be a secondary thought. It cannot be like, well, I'll just simply slap my video on there, and why doesn't it do well? There's a bazillion reasons why it doesn't do well. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's 5,000 other things, but so I do appreciate the honesty, and it is a little bit of an afterthought. I mean, it's it's like I can send it there because I can, and now it's there. I don't remember what show it was, but you were doing a podcast, and talking about thumbnails, and I don't know if it was you or your guest. You talked about the importance of having different thumbnails. So I try to do that more now. Like I use the one with us on it, right. So when people see it, they know it's a different show. It's not just me on there, right? It's at least the guest. So that seems to be.
It makes, because remember, when we find something on YouTube, we quickly going to look at it, and then we're going to make a decision in our brain. Oh, I've seen this one before, right? Because it typically will come up in our home screen when we log onto YouTube, or it will come up as part of search. So if your thumbnail is exactly the same every show, except you change the episode number or you change the name, which, by the way, don't put episode numbers on there, but you change the name, I'm not going to go and bother to read all that text. I'm just going to, I've seen this one, and I scroll by. The reason I say don't put numbers in your thumbnail is because when people see episode 7, in their mind, they're thinking, oh, do I have to watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 before I can watch 7? Whereas on podcasting, you need episode numbers so that you can reference, hey, go look up for episode 13, because that's when I chat to so-and-so about so-and-so. YouTube, you see that, it's like thinking I'm binge watching Netflix. If I'm never going to start something on season 4, episode 3. Because like, no, I've got to watch season 1, episode 1, and work my way through that. Same thing with thumbnails on YouTube. It's just a little extra tip there.
Though I've done that before, start a season on season 4 and then start at the beginning if I like something. But I'm different. So that's interesting. So I actually don't usually put the episode number on here, and the reason, so it's good to know that that's correct.
Yes.
The reason I actually don't do that is because this actually is probably going to be episode like maybe 354 or something like that. But I've only published episode 343 or something like that. So the point is, like, it doesn't make any sense on the live stream channels to do that.
No, that's good. And again, things come up. So now you've committed, hey, welcome to episode 343. Yeah. And now you have breaking news that happens tomorrow morning, and this gets pushed out by 2. Yeah. Now you're kind of stuck with it, So again, I like to make sure that every video on YouTube is able to be standalone. I have to know nothing about you, no history, not watch anything previously, but still get immense value from this video. Those are the trigger points to go, wow, this guy's super helpful. What else has he got? This channel's super helpful. What else have they got? This brand is super helpful. What else have they got? To the point that you hit your subscribe button. None of us woke up this morning saying, wow, I wonder what my toothpaste company has been up to. Not one person, including yourself. So, and the reason we don't, because it's a brand. It's faceless, it's nameless, it's just a thing that we have. However, if the brand was doing something really epic, and let's use Wendy's kind of roasting on Twitter as the example, people follow that, not so much because they love Wendy's, they just want to see who's going to get roasted next. But they've made that connection. And guess what? When they see Wendy's, they're going to pop into a Wendy's and see what the fuss is all about. So it's about making the brand more approachable. And the same thing happens on YouTube. Even though it's video, and even though it's not the official GoPro where everybody just flocks to the audience, so that they want to at least see what you have going on. And then, of course, subscribe and watch your videos.
Yeah, interesting. So you mentioned shorter content. So one thing I do is a lot of times, especially with Real Talk, the Customer Insights show, which I produce, is we do audiograms or we do video snippets. So would I actually be better off, instead of live streaming to YouTube, just publish shorter videos from a show, or how do you feel about that?
Definitely, absolutely. The work's that. I mean, you're doing the work on purpose. So YouTube has got this new thing called short space videos in vertical format, less than 60 seconds. And those channels are exploding. Again, shows you people's appetite for short content. You can take your show and say 5 tips in 60 seconds, doom, 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 and make it into like that full beat, funky kind of vibe. Not only can you upload that to YouTube and create a YouTube Shorts channel, but you can take the same video and upload it to Instagram. Same video, upload it to TikTok. And now you've done the work once, and now you're able to repurpose it multiple times. As long as you don't make that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. Well, that applies to YouTube, but it doesn't apply to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a follow. Same as Instagram. So as long as you just don't do platform-specific actions, that same content can simply be uploaded everywhere. And it works really, really well. To the point that people are now taking their TikTok videos, which are super successful on TikTok, downloading them to their phone and just uploading them to their YouTube Shorts channel without even removing the TikTok logo, so that people can see that it came from TikTok. Doesn't matter. It just still does well.
Yeah. So when you do a YouTube shorts channel, so I have my regular channel and whatnot. So do I need to create another channel, or how do I do a YouTube Shorts campaign or project or whatever?
So there's two strategies for this. There are those that've got their main channel, and on their main channel they've already got lots of content. They've got subscribers. They've got viewers. They've set a certain expectation with their viewer that when you come to this channel or when you get a notification from me, you are going to get certain length of content, certain type of content. I don't like uploading a shorts video, which is less than 60 seconds, on my main channel, because I'm going to confuse my audience. For me, it's all about the viewer. It's all about the audience. If I upload it to my channel and they see that and they go, oh, well, hold on, what is this person doing to me now? And then it starts leaving a little bit of a bad taste. So create a second channel, call it your YouTube Shorts channel, and then you can upload to there. The big thing that you get with a second channel is you get all the freedom. You no longer care what will it do to the algorithm, what will it do to my main content, will it alienate my audience? You just got this beautiful freedom to just upload and create and upload 10 times a day if you want to, because it doesn't have to have the same quality of content as your main one, which is scripted with a B-roll and camera angles and lights and all that good stuff. Now, should you still make it amazing? Absolutely. But the pressure is so much less. Now, that's my strategy. I like having a separate channel. People know exactly what they're going to get. And when that channel kind of gets traction, in the description of those videos, you still say, hey, subscribe to my main channel. Head over for longer to my main channel. And remember that YouTube treats a shorts channel just like it does any other channel. So then you have two stabs at this pie. You get one on your main channel and then one on another channel. If you do want to upload to your main channel, so you have long video, and then a short video, you can absolutely try that. The one thing I would advise is that if you're going to do that, there is an option when you upload a video not to notify your subscribers. And I think that's a cool thing to do. So you're not irritating your hardcore fan base, but you're still appealing to anybody else who is able to see the shorts, because they appear on something called the shorts shelf in the app on the phone.
Got it. So when I upload a short YouTube or whatever, YouTube short, how does YouTube know it's a short? Is there like a function I have to turn on? It has to be under 60 seconds or what's the difference? Just
under 60 seconds. You got to put hashtag shorts in the description and in the title. And even that seems to be a bit iffy, because we've seen videos that don't have shorts anywhere. But as long as they're under 60 seconds, that seems to be the deciding factor. Typically, we shoot at 16 by 9. Now it's like 9 by 16 to really take care of the entire screen. But again, I have seen channels which literally take a 16 by 9, like we have right now on the screen, and simply shrink it down so it fits into a kind of a vertical format, even though the whole thing isn't so shrunk down. As long as it's 60 seconds or less, it's called the shorts.
I'm sorry, the short needs to be 16 by 9 or something different?
9 by 16.
So it's like this, right?
It's like a vertical. So let's use my phone as an example. So this is kind of it needs to be 9 by 16,
Yeah.
Normally videos are in this kind of landscape format.
Got it. Well, that creates another production issue, of course. But yeah, as you mentioned, I can just shrink it down or whatever. Interesting. Well, I'm going to have to think about that strategy for sure. How, and I could just do it on the main channel, right? I mean, for you,
if you want to try it, absolutely. There's
could.
nothing stopping you. The nice thing is, again, is that this is one of those things that you can literally take your setup that you have right now, have your phone on a stand, and say, hey, today's guest, we learned these 3 cool things. Doom, 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 save.
Yeah.
And you're done. You just simply upload it. You don't have to worry about thumbnails. Some people say you still do because it looks like a regular channel, but most people don't worry about thumbnails. Give a good title, good description, upload it, and within 10 minutes, it's now you have another video up there.
Yeah. So earlier you mentioned something about ads when you create a great ad. And I remember running a campaign or whatever you want to call it way back when. And basically we just uploaded the video to the YouTube channel and then we promoted it or whatever the right terminology is. And had like a gazillion views, most of them from paid.
Yes.
But it still showed on the YouTube channel. Is that kind of what you're referring to?
Yeah. So basically there are a bunch of ways that you can take a video and put money behind it the right way. And the reason I emphasize the right way, because people can go out and buy views. They can go and buy subscribers from bots all over the world. That's pointless. And eventually YouTube will take your channel down if you're breaching their terms of service, because it says you cannot artificially inflate your numbers, which is what this is. What you're referring to is a proper, real way where you go into YouTube AdWords, and you create a campaign and you say, hey, look, this piece of content, it's about cars, I don't know. And I want to show this piece of content at the beginning of these channels. And you can select which channels this needs to live on, or based on keywords, or based on a whole bunch of criteria. And when a user goes to that person's channel, you know those ads that come up when you just hover above the skip button? Your video will pop up in there. And the reason I say if it's done well, people will watch your video. Now, the big thing you have to remember as a brand is that you're currently interrupting somebody else's viewing habit. They didn't want to see your ad. They wanted to see this video that they're about to watch. So, man, you better come out of that gate swinging in the first couple of seconds. You better grab their attention, because if it's cool, they'll watch it. And we've seen people time and time again watch loads and loads and loads of ads.
Yeah, don't get me started on the first couple of seconds, because I mean, you have people who have like a long opening or the dramatic whatever driving down the road, and it's like, oh my God, no, who's going to watch that? That wasn't even cool in 1982, you know. But anyway, well, I feel like we could be talking about this all day. Certainly, I got some takeaways for me. This is always the best shows that I have on here. You know, hopefully people enjoyed it. Oh, you know what I was going to mention? The comments. So I'm with you, and the way I'm currently set up, it's hard. So here, let's see, Elizabeth De Lima said truth. Don't know what she refers to, but thank you, appreciate that. That's over on Amazon Live. So so I'm streaming from Switcher on my iPad to restream on my computer.
Yep.
And so what I have to do is I actually have all these windows open, and you know I don't know what. Yeah, there's always
trying to see the chats.
Yeah, I have to see the chats. And if I use Restream only or Switcher only to one channel, I can see them directly in the app. So it makes it a little bit easier. And when there's a lot of them up on the screen. But definitely something to keep in mind, to keep an eye on the comments and see what's going on. I think
the biggest thing about doing a live is, remember, us as content creators, it's typically a one-way street. It's us kind of word vomiting something on a just on YouTube. We don't have that two-way communication. The big joy of doing live streams is that you do have the chat in real time, that you can really engage with an audience, ask a question, answer a question, go deeper into a specific topic, unpack things that people may have. So as much as I love all of these ability to go kind of mass produce all over the place, I still think that the one component that a lot of these applications haven't really nailed down yet is the unification of chat into one location where I can see everything, I can reply, and it just broadcasts to the right channel. I understand it must be a little just to do it, but that's the bit that's still missing for me. So when I used to do lots of live streaming, it was just purely YouTube, because I could really focus on those comments. Again, everyone's different, and where's your ROI? You want to be everywhere all at once because people want to get this content. Super, go for it.
Yeah. So interesting. I prefer to not think of my strategy as blah, but I hear your sentiment. I know what you mean. So Elizabeth, hey, thanks for following. Thanks for talking, commenting. She followed up about swinging out of the gate with the Amazon Live. Hover over the screen and click follow up there. That's really helpful to get this show in front of more people. Liron, it was great to have you back on the show. Always great to catch up with you. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. And I certainly have my homework cut out for myself. So I'll put a good deadline on that and move forward. Thank you again for joining us.
Holding you to it. And thank you for having me. Always fun chatting.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. Until next.